Hello, all glory to Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So, the New World Order is a deception. What do I mean by that? Well, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you probably already know, but I wanted to make a video that perhaps you could link to other people. So, what do I mean by the New World Order is a deception? Do I mean that it's not going on? No, I don't mean that. There is, the Bill Gates thing and all the stuff that's happening. It's real, but it's not the beast. It's not the beast system. The current system that exists is going to be taken down by the beast system. And I think that what is happening is we have Satan, the devil, constructing this vast system which is designed to be brought down to give the people of the world what appears to be a victory over the forces of darkness. A victory, and then people will think that the next system that's come in is a good system because the bad people have all been defeated. So I wanted to read you some, I'm going to read you some sources from the enemy to show you that they are also, the people, the New Agers, the Q people, the Catholics, they're waiting on this pulling down of the current system in order to implement the next system. So it's not just Christians who are against the current system. It's also the enemy, and they're waiting on it. So yeah, so I'll read you some things. But firstly, let's start off with some scripture. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness they shall with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished, but chiefly them that walk after the flesh, in the lust of uncleanness, and despise government. Presumptuous that are they, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities, whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusation against them before the Lord. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to riot in the daytime. Spots they are, and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you, having eyes full of adultery that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, and a heart that they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam the son of Bosor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but was rebuked for his iniquity. The dumb ass speaking with man's voice forbade the madness of the prophet. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with the tempest, to whom the midst of darkness is reserved forever. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lusts of the flesh, through much wantonness, those that were clean escaped from them who live in error. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought in bondage. For after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ, they are again entangled therein, and overcome. The latter end is worse for them than the beginning. For it had been better for them to not have known the way of righteousness, than after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it is happened unto them according to the true proverb, the dog is turned unto his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. So, I think that speaks quite a lot of our times, riding in the daytime, turning from the Lord Jesus Christ and waiting for him to come and get us, speaking evil against dignities, People deceiving with great swelling words of vanity. But yeah, that describes well. So you have to remember though, most religions are waiting on a Messiah. Most people are currently suffering. You don't have to be a Christian to be suffering at the moment. The whole world is suffering at the moment. So waiting on a Messiah is not a Christian idea. And suffering at the present time is not just for Christians. Everybody is suffering. It's about who we are waiting for and who we are suffering for and how we conduct ourselves in this time. So of course we wait for Jesus Christ, but everybody's waiting for a Messiah of some type of saving figure. So yeah, I'll read you a bunch of Luciferian sources to show you that Satan is against the New World Order too. The New World Order, what is commonly described as the New World Order, the enemies of Jesus Christ are also against that. And I'm going to show you the true agenda. Now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So I've got a Killing Joke song here. It's a band I used to listen to before I was a Christian. I'm going to read you the lyrics to this song, the first thing. I'm going to read you a bunch of different sources to give you an idea of where the enemy is coming from here. So it doesn't really matter if the south turns north, or the stars above stop in their course, if 10,000 coastal cities are taken by the wave or not. The outcome's still the same for all of us now. Riddles in stone, great cycles of time, forgotten, ignored, the ancient paradigm, a polarization of values happening, opposing camps define themselves and pull apart. Night turns to day, darkness to light. A doorway opens to quantum sight. A world age shift, a converging sun, a field of energy reversal has begun. Suddenly it hit, pole shift. Now the pendulum has swung the other way, pulling us out of our ingrained habits. The death of the occult slashing open the womb that held us all so comfortably for so long, calling on all of us to restore the biosphere toward a partnership of co-creation in a relationship of resonance. Hand in hand we march into the unknown, where taboos of today are tomorrow's delights, all values inverted so wrong is right, sex, morality, imposition all swept away in one great orgasm by the light of day. Suddenly it hit, pole shift. Communion with the stars, decode our DNA, marvel at the mysteries of quantum immortality. Children of Elias, come. Into a fifth world and a sixth sun. Yes, into a fifth world and a sixth sun. Suddenly it hit, pole shift. This band is very much against the current world. Very much against and for the next. But the next is not Jesus Christ. So I'm going to read you something here now from the ashtarcommandcrew.net. Pleiadian Light Force Transmissions, channeled, so this is from a fallen angel, by Michael Love. A special message to the star seeds of New Earth for immediate planetary broadcast. Prelude, remembering that the Earth is flat, there is no space. This is all a deception. The following information is derived from direct, decoded etheric transmissions from benevolent light forces docked in the Earth's solar system, and some of the data comes directly from certain Inside Earth Alliance members known as the White Hats, and the Great White Brotherhood, strategically placed in key positions of power by the galactics on the surface of planet Earth. The Earth is flat. This special message also includes data from several of the best astrologers in the world that work closely with the Earth Alliance. Note, this is a long data stream, begin transmission. Greetings, beings of light. Several Earth days ago, the Earth Alliance received a large case of etheric data from the benevolent light forces stationed in Earth's solar system. This encoded Akashic data stream, took almost 200 hours to decode. Akashic data is very important. The consciousness decoding of this specific data stream was taken back to ancient days when Lemurians first came to Earth and was led by the data up until the end of current Earth year 2020. All the data in this transmission, as well as other transmissions point to a major, imminent evolutionary event that is about to occur on planet Earth. The Earth is flat. It's not a planet. This data stream also contained a key Earth date and time marker. Don't worry about the date. Earth year 2020 has already been a year of powerful transformation, evolution, and revolution as the Great Awakening sweeps across the planet, affecting all the sentient beings of the Earth. Everything is shifting and moving dramatically inside of the beings of Earth, and all systems on the planet are undergoing great change as Earth is being bombarded constantly now by highly charged cosmic rays emanating from the galactic core. Okay, so this goes on, but I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the point is they believe, these people, who are obviously not Christian, they believe that there's some big change coming. I'm going to read you another thing. From Into the Light, Mike Quincy's Higher Self Message, November 2020. Extract from Seraphim Message. All ends are temporary. So this is another fallen angel thing. Through Rosie. There will be an end to all this unnatural behavior, the constant need to suppress the truth of what one knows due to fear of reprisals. It will also be the end of those heinous crimes and circumstances of which there are so many on your world, which are the origin of so many troubled minds. These are the minds of objectors, of the fighters, of the ultimate carers, caring not only for their own fate, for the fate of the entire global population. This is a very heavy burden to carry, yet they struggle on and are used to it. This also shall fall. The burden will be lifted, and you'll be able to return to that light, joyful feeling which you experienced as a child or with children. Those surviving this huge change will, in fact, become childlike, crying and laughing often, and by turns, because there will be so much to laugh and cry about. The great interruption will take place. You may feel that this is the end of the world. You may feel like this is the end of the world, and in some sense you'll be right. It will be the realization of your worst fears, that something really terrible has been going on for thousands of years, and that you have failed to perceive it in all its perfidy. Simultaneously, there will be a huge relief. A period of intense questioning will follow. It will be the followers who will have the worst time, for they will have to question everything which formed the parameters of their lives so far. If they are not prepared to let everything go, if you are not prepared to let everything go, then they themselves will have to go. If you're not prepared to let everything go, you'll have to go. So Christians, for example, they're going to kill us. For there will be no room for anyone on this planet who has sunk into complete stagnation and who intends to remain in a state of stagnation. While this may seem to be an end, it is also a beginning, not only for not only revelations about a heinous past will flow, but also new thoughts and new directions. Lofty ideals will come to the forefront. It will take your breath away, and it must be obvious by now that there will be many people who cannot deal with this and who will depart. Many call this death. So there's this big change coming, the great interruption. You have to question everything, and if you're not prepared to let go, you'll have to go into what they call death. And it will seem to many, due to the constant propaganda to the contrary, that this is their end. Yet this end too is only temporary. They will be required to review their part in all these proceedings, whether they choose to do this on earth in the times of great revelation, or whether they decide to do it in the next realm after what you call death. So they're going to kill everybody. There's a big change coming. They're going to kill everybody who doesn't go along with it. But in their minds, they don't think that it's actually death. They think it's only a temporary thing, and they just have to, they're doing us a favor. They're doing us a favor by killing us. Anyway, so that's that. So then we have, I've mentioned this before, and I've read a bit of it before. We're going to read the whole thing. This is the open letter to Donald Trump, President of the United States, from Carlos Maria Viganò, the Archbishop of Ulpiana, former Apostolic Nuncio of the United States of America. So I'm going to read you this thing. Mr. President, allow me to address you at this hour in which the fate of the whole world is being threatened by a global conspiracy against God and humanity. I write to you as an Archbishop, as a successor of the Apostles, as the former Apostolic Nuncio of the United States of America. I'm writing to you in the midst of the silence of both civil and religious authorities. May you accept these words of mine as the voice of one crying out in the desert. So this is, I guess, Elijah, putting himself as Elijah or John the Baptist. As I said when I wrote my letter to you in June, this historic moment sees the forces of evil aligned in battle without quarter against the forces of good. So once again, we've got this light versus dark thing going on. The forces of evil that appear powerful and organized as they oppose the children of light. The children of light, who are disoriented and disorganized, abandoned by their temporal and spiritual leaders. Daily we sense the attacks multiplying of those who want to destroy the very basis of society. The natural family, the respect for human life, love of country, freedom of education and business. We see the heads of nations and religious leaders pandering to this suicide of Western culture and its Christian soul, while the fundamental rights of citizens and believers are denied in the name of a health emergency that is revealing itself more and more fully as the instrument to the establishment of an inhuman, faceless tyranny. A global plan called the Great Reset is underway. Its architect is a global elite that wants to subdue all humanity, imposing coercive measures with which to drastically limit individual freedoms and those of entire populations. In several nations, this plan has already been approved and financed. In others, it is still in an early stage. Behind the world leaders who are the accomplices and executors of this infernal project, there are unscrupulous characters who finance the World Economic Forum and Event 201, promoting their agenda. The purpose of the Great Reset is the imposition of a health dictatorship, aiming at the imposition of liberticidal measures, hidden behind tempting promises of ensuring a universal income and cancelling individual debt. The price of these concessions from the International Monetary Fund will be the renunciation of private property and adherence to a program of vaccination against the virus, promoted by Bill Gates with the collaboration of the main pharmaceutical groups. Beyond the enormous economic interests that motivate the promoters of the Great Reset, the imposition of vaccinations will be accompanied by the requirement of a health passport and a digital ID, with the consequent contact tracing of the population of the entire world. Those who do not accept these measures will be confined in detention camps or placed under house arrest, and all their assets will be confiscated. Remembering, this is Catholic. This is not Christian. So this is, if you're thinking that the New World Order thing, that's what's coming, well, the enemies of God also think the same thing. That's why I'm reading this. Because this letter seems to be a fairly good summary of what people think, what people believe is coming, and it's a deception. Mr. President, I imagine that you are already aware that in some countries, the Great Reset will be activated between the end of this year and the first trimester of 2021. For this purpose, further lockdowns are planned, which will be officially justified by a supposed second and third wave of the pandemic. You are well aware of the means that have been deployed to sow panic and legitimize draconian limitations on individual liberties, artfully provoking a worldwide economic crisis in the intentions of its architects. This crisis will serve to make the recourse of nations to the Great Reset irreversible, thereby giving the final blow to a world whose existence and very memory they want to completely cancel. But this world, Mr. President, includes people, affections, institutions, faith, culture, traditions, and ideals. Do not love the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. People and values that do not act like automatons, who do not obey like machines, because they are endowed with a soul and a heart, because they are tied together by a spiritual bond that draws its strength from above. From that God that our adversaries want to challenge, just as Lucifer did at the beginning of time with his non serviam. Many people, as well we know, are annoyed by this reference to the clash between good and evil and the use of apocalyptic overtones, which according to them exasperates spirits and sharpens divisions. It is not surprising that the enemy is angered at being discovered. The same attitude that Q has, or that puts forward all these. We're discovering all these things. We're exposing the enemy. And by the way, this letter that I'm reading now was posted by Q. So there's another link there as well. It's not surprising the enemy is angered just when he believes he's reached the citadel he seeks to conquer undisturbed. What is surprising, however, is that there's no one to sound the alarm. Everybody's sounding the alarm. The reaction of the deep state to those who denounce its plan is broken and incoherent, but understandable. The reaction is broken and incoherent, but understandable. Just when the complicity of the mainstream media had succeeded in making the transition to the New World Order almost painless and unnoticed, all sorts of deceptions, scandals, and crimes are coming to light. Until a few months ago, it was easier to smear as conspiracy theorists those who denounced these terrible plans, which we now see being carried out down to the smallest detail. No one, up until last February, would ever have thought that in all of our cities, citizens would be arrested simply for wanting to walk down the street, to breathe, to want to keep their business open, to want to go to church on Sunday. Yet now it is happening all over the world, even in picture postcard Italy, that many Americans consider to be a small, enchanted country with its ancient monuments, its churches, its charming cities, its characteristic villages. And while the politicians are barricaded inside their palaces, promulgating decrees like Persian satraps, businesses are failing, shops are closing, and people are prevented from living, traveling, working, and praying. Donald Trump is, of course, the leader of America. It's happening in his America. So the disastrous psychological consequences of this operation are already being seen, beginning with the suicides of desperate entrepreneurs and of our children, segregating from friends and classmates, told to follow their classes while sitting at home in front of a computer. In sacred scripture, St. Paul speaks to us of the one who opposes, the manifestation of the mystery of iniquity. 2 Thessalonians 2. In the religious sphere, this obstacle to evil is the church, and in particular, the papacy. Oh, the papacy is the obstacle. That's what's holding Satan back, according to this Catholic. In the political sphere, it is those who impede the establishment of the New World Order. Just keep in mind that term is used, the New World Order. Not the beast, the New World Order. It's not a biblical term. New World Order, not a biblical term. As is now clear, the one who occupies the chair of Peter has betrayed his role from the beginning in order to defend and promote the globalist ideology, supporting the agenda of the deep church, who chose him from its ranks. So we've got the deep church. The papacy is good, the Catholic Church is good, but it's just the Pope and a few of the deep church. There's a few bad eggs. Yeah, right. Mr. President, you have clearly stated that you want to defend the nation, one nation under God, fundamental liberties and non-negotiable values that are denied and fought against today. It is you, dear President, who are the one who opposes. The one who opposes. Donald Trump is the one who opposes the deep state, the final assault of the children of darkness. For this reason, it is necessary that all people of good will be persuaded of the epochal importance and the imminent election. So this is before the election this came out. Not so much for the sake of this or that political program, because of the general inspiration of your action that best embodies, in this particular historical context, that world, our world, which they want to cancel by means of the lockdown. Your adversary is also our adversary. It is the enemy of the human race, who was a murderer from the beginning. Around you are gathered with faith and courage those who consider you the final garrison against the world dictatorship. Donald Trump, the final garrison against the world dictatorship. This is the lie they're selling you. The alternative is to vote for a person who is manipulated by the deep state, gravely compromised by scandals and corruption, who will do to the United States what Jorge Mario Bergoglio is doing with the church. Prime Minister Conte to Italy, President Macron to France, Prime Minister Sanchez to Spain, and so on. The blackmailable nature of Joe Biden, just like that of the prelates of the Vatican's magic circle, will expose him to be used unscrupulously, allowing illegitimate powers to interfere in both domestic policies as well as international balances. It is obvious that those who manipulate him already have someone worse than him ready, with whom they will replace him as soon as the opportunity arises. So there's an antichrist, and it's in the church, and Donald Trump's the only one standing against it. And yet, in the midst of this bleak picture, this apparently unstoppable advance of the invisible enemy, an element of hope emerges. The adversary does not know how to love, and it does not understand that it is not enough to assure a universal income or to cancel mortgages in order to subjugate the masses and convince them to be branded like cattle. This people, which for too long has endured the abuses of a hateful and tyrannical power, is rediscovering that it has a soul. It is understanding that it is not willing to exchange its freedom for the homogenization and cancelization of its identity. It is beginning to understand the value of familial and social ties, to the bonds of faith and culture that unite honest people. This great reset is designed to fail. Destined to fail, because those who plan it do not understand that there are still people ready to take to the streets. So calling people to take to the streets, to defend their rights, to protect their loved ones, to give a future to their children and grandchildren. There is no future in this world. Our hope is in heaven. The leveling inhumanity of the globalist project will shatter miserably in the face of the firm and courageous opposition of the children of light. The children of light. The enemy of Satan on its side the enemy has Satan on its side. He who only knows how to hate. But on our side we have the Lord Almighty, the God of armies arrayed for battle, and the most holy Virgin, Catholic, pagan, the Queen of Heaven, who will crush the head of the ancient serpent. For if God is with us, who can be against us? Mr. President, you are well aware that in this crucial hour, the United States of America is considered the defending wall. The United States of America, the U.S. military, against which the war declared by the advocates of globalism has been unleashed. Place your trust in the Lord, strengthened by the words of the Apostle Paul. I can do all things in him who strengthens me. To be an instrument of divine providence is a great responsibility, for which you will certainly receive all the graces of state that you need, since they are being fervently implored for you by the many people who support you with their prayers. Got to pray for the President Trump. Got to come together and pray for America. America is the only thing holding back Satan. This is a lie. It's God who holds back Satan. In God we trust, not in Trump, not in America. With this heavenly hope and the assurance of my prayer for you, for the First Lady and for your collaborators, with all my heart I send you my blessing. God bless the United States of America. So there we have the Catholic version. Catholic version of we've got to rise up. I've talked about this before. And of course, in the Q movement, there's the Great Awakening. All the same stuff. I've talked about that before. And I've talked about this Albert Pike quote before. We should, Freemasonry. We should unleash the nihilists and atheists, provoke a great social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origins of savagery and most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, people will be forced to defend themselves against the world minority of the world revolutionaries, and will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitudes disillusioned with Christianity, whose spirits will be from that moment without direction and leadership and anxious for an ideal, but without knowledge where to send its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into public view, a manifestation which will result from a general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Fictions are necessary for the people, and the truth becomes deadly to those who are not strong enough to contemplate it in all its brilliance. In fact, what can there be in common between the vile multitude and sublime wisdom? The truth must be kept secret, and the masses need a teaching proportioned to their imperfect reason. Masonry, like all religions, all the mysteries, Hermeticism and alchemy, conceals its secrets from all except the adepts and sages, or the elect, and uses false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who deserve only to be misled, and to conceal the truth, which it calls light, from them, and draw them away from it. The blue degrees are but the outer court of the temple. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate, but he is intentionally misled by false interpretation. It is not intended he shall understand them, but it is intended he shall imagine that he understands them. The true explanation is reserved for the adepts, the princes of Masonry, those of the 32nd and 33rd degrees. So we have the same thing in the Q movement. Symbolism will be their downfall. These people are stupid. The people in the Q movement, they assume that symbolism will be their downfall is referring to the deep state. Their symbolism will be the downfall. But no, I say that their symbolism is the downfall of the Q people. And I say that when Q says these people are stupid, Q is not referring to the Satan worshippers who are ruling the world. He's referring to the people who follow QAnon. He's mocking them. They're being misled. They're being shown some of the symbols, being misled as to what they mean. So, got this quote here from Manly Hall, who's a 33rd degree Freemason. Hall here promises the devil that each year he would bring him a human soul to do with as it may please him, and in return the devil promised to bestow him the treasures of the earth and to fulfill his every desire for the length of his natural life. And if he failed to bring him each year the offering specified above, then Hall's own soul would be forfeit to him, signed in his own blood. So showing you that to point out that these people are sick. Q is right on that. These people are sick. They're not interested in saving humanity. And this is these so-called forces of white, forces of light, the white hats, the Great White Brotherhood. That's part of, like Manly P. Hall's a Freemason. You saw the Albert Pike quotes. It's the same thing. They're doing this on purpose. They're doing this on purpose to destroy Christianity and atheism so that they can bring forth Satan. And they're waiting on the rapture. They're waiting on the rapture to let loose. And I'll read Second Thessalonians 2 now. They're waiting on the rapture. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. So the mystery of iniquity, it's already working. It's already there. But there's somebody holding it back. Who's holding it back? And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. They should believe a lie, that the New World Order has been toppled by the White Hats, the Patriots, the US military, the Great Brotherhood of Light, that they may all be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. But we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth, whereunto he called you by our gospel, to the obtaining of the glory of the Lord Jesus Christ, our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which you have been taught, whether by word or our epistle. Now our Lord Jesus Christ himself, and God, even our Father, which hath loved us, and hath given us everlasting consolation and good hope through grace, comfort your hearts, and establish you in every good word and work. So we're waiting on Jesus. We're not waiting on earthly redemption. So, Revelation 6. Yeah, so some Bible verses now. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, and as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts, saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering, and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon, to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So, this is why I think people are trying to get people to believe that we are in the tribulation. Because if we are in the tribulation, then it's possible that the New World Order is the Antichrist system. But we're not in Daniel's 70th week yet. I believe we are not in Daniel's 70th week yet. And once the seals are opened, which I believe happens after the restrainer is removed, after he who lets is taken out of the way, which I believe is the church, Jesus, because we have the Spirit of Jesus, we're the body of Christ. I believe that after we go, then the seals are opened, then the white horse, he who sits on a white horse, goes forth conquering and to conquer, and then the red horse, and there's war. That's when that happens. So if that's not the case, then who's going forth conquering and to conquer? Where's the war? Where's the war? We know there's war coming. It's probably going to be with China, I guess, and the Middle East, but... Okay. Yeah, if we're in Daniel's 70th week, then who is the one confirming the covenant with many in Daniel 9? Because that's the trigger of Daniel's 70th week. Who's the one confirming the covenant? What's the covenant? Hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. It's still coming. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. So be careful of 7 mountains theology. Dominionism. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So this kingdom, the Luciferian, the beast kingdom, hasn't come yet. Hasn't come yet. So, and when his disciples, James and John, saw this, they said, Lord, wilt thou we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias did? But he turned and rebuked them, and he said, You know not what manner of spirit ye are, for the Son of God is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village. You know not matter of what spirit you are. So being encouraged to go out and fight against this new world order, this system, which is going to fall. And people are being encouraged to pray. There's all these big prayer gatherings, praying for America and praying for the world, and praying for the victory of the children of light over the children of darkness. We're here to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we don't get victory while we're here, and we don't live on this earth. Our hope is not in this earth. We certainly don't fight with the sword. We fight with the word of God. And then said Jesus unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, that he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall Scripture be fulfilled, that thus it must be? It must be. We know that things have to get bad. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected thee from being king. And they worshipped the dragon who gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. It was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations. And all them that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. Which is the closest to these verses I'm reading? Is it the New World Order? Or is it Donald Trump and the Patriots? Or is it a potential alien that comes down? Some alien, some ascended master, the Mahdi, the Great White Brotherhood, Sananda Kumara, or something like that. What's being described here? It's not the system that currently exists, is it? It's the next one that's coming. The mystery of iniquity doth authority work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way, and then shall that wicked be revealed. So put on the whole armour of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, For thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Associate yourselves, O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces. And give ear, all ye of far countries. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for God is with us. For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, Say ye not, a confederacy, to all them to whom this people shall say, a confederacy. Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. Don't say a confederacy, a conspiracy. To all them to whom this people say, a conspiracy. Don't say it. Keep in mind, everybody's talking about the Great Reset. Everybody is. I mean, not everybody, but it's mainstream. We're not suffering in the same way that the rest of the world is suffering. If we're suffering along with the world, then we're doing something wrong. We've got our own unique form of suffering. We suffer for Jesus, not for the world. Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself. Let him be your fear. Let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel. So keep in mind, this is written in the Old Testament, but the point still stands. And for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. You might say to the inhabitants of the world. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Or you might say it's to the church. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples, and I will wait upon the Lord that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children of whom the Lord hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. When they shall say unto you, Seek unto them that have familiar spirits. Seek unto them that have familiar spirits. Well, that would be the Q movement and the New Age movement and the people who are channeling, the aliens, which is where this story is coming from, which is where this Great Awakening is coming from. And unto wizards that peep, well, Q's talked about wizards and warlocks being in control. There being wizards and warlocks. Wizards that peep and that mutter. Should not a people seek unto their God, for the living to the dead? To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. They shall pass through it, hardly bestead and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves, and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness and anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. So be careful. Don't go along with what's going on. It's a lie. And there's stuff about the vaccine being the mark of the beast. I've talked about this before. It's not the mark of the beast. I mean, something like that might come about in the future, but the current thing that exists is not the mark of the beast, because the mark of the beast comes about in the midpoint of Daniel's 70th week, and before that happens, there's an angel flying through heaven telling people not to take it, and we've got the beast that comes out of the earth standing in the temple of God, the beast standing in the temple of God, but the beast coming out of the earth, that happens, and then there's the mark made. It's all the big stuff happens in the midpoint of Daniel's 70th week. So nothing that currently exists is it. It'll probably be something similar to what's currently being put forward, but it's not currently here. It's at least 3.5 years away, so don't be afraid of this stuff. So then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, Ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, To the unknown God, whom therefore ye ignorantly worship. Him I declare unto you, God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worship with men's hands, as though he need anything, seeing he giveth He giveth to all life and breath and all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him, and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live, and move, and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. For as much then as we are the offspring of God, we ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold, or silver, or stone, graven by art and man's device. And the times of this ignorance God winked at, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent, because he hath appointed a day in which he will judge the world in righteousness, by the man who he hath ordained, whereof he hath given assurance unto all men, in that he hath raised him from the dead. And when they heard of the resurrection of the dead, some mocked, and others said, We will hear thee again of this matter. So Paul departed from among them. Howbeit certain men clave unto him, and believed, among the which was Dionysius the Areopagite, and a woman named Damaris, and others with them. So let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me, says Jesus. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again, and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go ye know, and the way ye know. And Thomas saith unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest. How can we know the way? Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So don't let your heart be troubled, and don't worry about this stuff that's going on at the moment. The rapture will happen first. So get yourself right with God. Keep preaching the gospel. Keep spreading the good news, and don't give up. Don't fall into despair. There's nothing to worry about for us. There's nothing to worry about. I'm trusting in God, and all this stuff, it's a deception. Not that it's not real. It is real, and that's part of the deception. There are evil people in the world doing evil things, and those things are being shown to us. But that's not the coming system. That's not the beast system. The beast system is something else. And I've talked about that in my previous videos. It seems to be a new age, sort of Luciferian, light side of Satan, the right hand of Satan, free love, taking drugs, doing whatever you want to do, but killing all the people who disagree with that system. It's a Luciferian system, as opposed to the satanic system. It's the people who pretend to be good rather than the people who pretend to be bad, but they're all bad. So don't get taken up, don't get fooled by it. My Lord is Jesus Christ, who died for our sins, was buried, and rose again the third day. Put your trust and faith in him. May Jesus bless you and keep you. Amen.